My boyfriend called me ugly, right in the middle of a fancy restaurant, in front of his best friends. I hadn't even taken my first sip of water before he dumped me like I was auditioning for Worst Romance Movie of the Year. The main course that night? It wasn't pasta, it was public humiliation, served raw and bitter. But don't feel sorry for me just yet, the fun part hasn't even started. Let me tell you, the twist that not even his grandma could have seen coming. I used to think Griffin and I were that couple people looked at and secretly went, ugh, they're so made for each other. You know the type, switching off cooking duties on Friday nights, he always went for extra cheesy pasta, I forced quinoa salad into the mix for health, weekend hikes in Colorado followed by tree-hugging photos with captions like, "You make me bloom." Cringe, right? But it was real. At least I thought it was. I'm 30. I run a little flower shop in Seattle called Petal and Thorn, where we design bouquets based on moods and broken hearts. Yeah, it sounds cheesy, but surprisingly, it sells like crazy. Griffin? He worked in IT for some startup, and every time I asked what he actually did, he'd unload a string of buzzwords like AI-driven, cloud-based, blockchain-integrated data platform. I just nodded like I totally got it. In the 2 years we dated, Griffin never once invited me to anything work-related. When I asked, he'd say, "It's not really a professional environment, babe. Just a bunch of nerds who talk like broken Google Translate." So when he suddenly texted me asking if I wanted to join him for dinner with 2 close coworkers, I freaked out. In a good way. Like, was I finally cool enough to meet his mysterious tech boy crew? I spent nearly 3 hours getting ready. Exfoliated, mastered a fox eye eyeliner look. The YouTube tutorial took 24 minutes, and pulled out this olive green dress with a subtle shoulder cut, something I only wear when I'm going for that elegant but effortlessly chill vibe. Took an Uber to the restaurant, a fancy rooftop place overlooking the city, the kind where if you don't see prices on the menu, you know it's about to hurt your wallet. I was exactly 4 minutes late. 4 minutes, because the Uber hit every red light, and a random cat decided to lie down right in the middle of the exit. But the moment I walked in, the first thing I saw was Griffin sitting there with 2 guys, both grinning like they owned the place. He didn't even stand up, just kind of lifted his butt an inch off the seat like a low-battery robot and hit me with the legendary greeting, "Whoa, that's what you're wearing?" I hadn't even sat down yet when I caught the 2 guys, who I later learned were Nate and Brian, giving each other that look. You know the one, the this chick kind of look. I forced a smile and asked, "Was there a dress code I missed?" Griffin just shrugged and said, "I already ordered. Get something if you want." Communication level, dying robot. During the entire dinner, Griffin talked for about 80% of the time. About tech, about scaling up the project, about that one time he almost met some big shot CEO. I didn't really follow, but I nodded politely like a good sport. Every time I tried to chime in and share something about the flower shop, Griffin would jump in with, "Sabrina has this cute little shop, super adorable, but I guess she hasn't really thought about, scaling into a serious market yet." Yeah, probably not. I'm still busy paying off the van I used to deliver flowers. I ordered pasta, because honestly, I was starving and it was the most straightforward thing on a menu full of words like emulsion, infused, and deconstructed. When the plate arrived, Griffin glanced at it and snorted. "Carb party, huh? With your body type, you've definitely got enough fuel to hike Everest." I gave a small smile, but inside, my stomach was climbing Everest for real. Not because of the pasta, because of that straight-up gut punch from the guy I thought was my partner, who apparently doubled as a free body-shaming coach. And guess what? That was just the appetizer. I thought the night would peak with a side of body-shaming over dinner, but nope. The main course turned out to be a full-blown breakup served with a check and a public performance worthy of a high school drama club audition tape. Just as I picked up my glass to excuse myself early, Griffin called out in his best team leader voice, "Hold up." He took the check from the server, glanced at it for exactly 1.3 seconds, then slid it across the table to me like we were playing Uno. "I don't think we're a good fit," he said, totally calm, like he was delivering a Q3 report to his boss. "Oh, and you'll cover this, right? You ordered the most." I blinked. "Excuse me, what now?" I ordered 1 plate of pasta, $19. And him? He ordered something called truffle wagyu tartare, paired with a cocktail apparently infused with unicorn breath, totaling more than my weekly rent. And now, I was getting dumped and stuck with the check? Before I could even react, Griffin stood up, slipped on his jacket, looked at me, or more accurately, looked past me, and dropped a line that sounded like it was written by AI for a bargain bin soap opera. A girl like you should be grateful to have dated someone like me. I honestly don't know what class teaches people to say stuff like that without getting struck by lightning. His two buddies patted him on the back like, "Bro, savage." Then all three strutted out like they'd just wrapped a killer brainstorming session. And me? I sat there. Alone, on a glittering rooftop, just me, and the echo of a $300 bill. The server looked at me with that pitying expression like, "Ma'am, would you like us to play some sad music for you?" I just gave a crooked smile, pulled out my credit card, and swiped it. One motion more painful than losing my wallet back in 2018. By the time I got home, I looked like a soggy cookie. Mascara smudged like abstract art. One hand in a tub of cookie-flavored ice cream, the other fumbling for the Netflix remote to find a healing rom-com. But all it suggested were heartbreaking love stories. Netflix, not you too. Before I could fully collapse, there it was. 3 familiar knocks at my door. Knock, knock, knock. Drama delivery. Open up. It was Jade, my best friend since college, currently working in PR and also my unpaid full-time therapist. She walked in carrying a slightly burnt cheese pizza, bless her, and a bottle of red wine, Healing, Deluxe Edition. The moment she saw me, Jade blurted out, "Oh my God, you sweet dumb idiot. Spill everything." I told her everything, from the dinner to the body shaming, the killer check, and the breakup line so cringe it deserved its own meme. Jade listened, popped open the wine, and then hit me with a twist I did not see coming. "Griffin?" "Girl, I know him. He used to be the coffee runner for an IT team I freelanced with. Back then, he couldn't even tell the difference between an HDMI port and a USB. I nearly choked on my slice. Wait, what? The guy who bragged about late-night Zoom calls with the London team was actually a glorified tech intern? Not a tech lead, but a lead coffee fetcher? Welp. Looks like I just dropped $300 on a dinner where the main course was delusion, and the side dish was brutal clarity. After Jade dropped the line, "He was just the guy who made coffee," I looked at her like she'd just revealed Griffin was some forgotten side character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you know what? My brain suddenly felt like someone had yanked off a filter. Like the Instagram filter of fake perfection Griffin had plastered over my life for the past 2 years. So there I was, sitting on the couch, sheet mask on, because hey, my skin still deserves to heal even if my heart's in shambles. Diving into the deepest internet spiral since I stalked my ex's girlfriend back in 2016. The more I scrolled, the more I thought, wow, I've been living in a fanfic he wrote about himself. All those texts like, just in a late-night meeting with the Sydney team. My boss personally told me I'm the key player on the new project. Got a big investor pitch tomorrow. Pray I remember the script. Back then, I was genuinely touched, like, oh my God, my boyfriend is out here building an empire. Looking back now, those international teams he mentioned turned out to be 2 interns who doubled as coffee fetchers and document printers. And that big investor pitch? Yeah, probably pitching roasted chicken options in the company kitchen. I opened Griffin's Instagram, packed with posts like a photo in front of his office building, caption, "Where ideas become impact." A desk shot clearly not his, zoom in and there's a mug with the name Linda on it. But the absolute winner? A story at 11 p.m. that said, "Still at it. Hustle never sleeps." Except, I vividly remember him snoring next to me that night, cuddling the teddy bear I gave him. Life filter, cranked to max. Right as I was spiraling from the realization that I had been dating the main character of Catfish Corporate Edition, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Hi, are you Sabrina? I'm Wesley, one of Griffin's coworkers. There are a few things about him I think you should know." I shot upright, like I'd been electrocuted. Wesley, that was the name Jade mentioned back when she worked at Griffin's company. He wasn't the gossip type. So if he was reaching out, something had to be up. Wesley laid it all out. Griffin was on probation. Nothing groundbreaking. Taking credit for other people's work, stealing team ideas, and creating this superhero persona while mostly just refilling the water cooler and fixing the printer. But wait, there's more. Wesley also said Griffin constantly trashed me at work, calling me a clingy chick, as in needy, bland, delusional girl chasing the dream of marrying a tech billionaire. He even joked that I thought Griffin was Elon Musk with a factory defect. At that point, I didn't know whether to laugh or order another bottle of wine. And what did I end up doing? Sleeping. On the couch. Eyes glued to the ceiling, mouth munching on stale cookies, heart tightening like someone hit pause on it with a remote. But the next morning, I shot up. No tears, no dramatic sighs, just a plan. Griffin thought he was the director of this fake rom-com? Fine. But I'd be the one rewriting the script. And spoiler alert, he's not in the second half of this movie. After a night of scheming like I was the lead in Ocean's 11 or a startup team prepping for an IPO, ting-ting, my phone rang. Unknown number. I looked at the screen and almost dropped my phone into my granola. It was Sharon, Griffin's mom, the woman who used to send me homemade apple pies every Thanksgiving. She was calling to invite me to Griffin's birthday party this Saturday. But wait, there's more. She added in the most excited tone ever. Griffin said you two have some very special news to announce at the party. I nearly burst out laughing, but somehow kept my voice steady and said, "Oh wow, that sounds great. I'll be there." Then hung up and immediately screamed into the group chat with Jade and Wesley. Guys, Operation Unmask is on. Jade, acting as both stylist and creative director of my revenge glow-up, showed up at my place with 3 outfit options. Bold, soft but deadly. Silent revenge served haute couture. We went with a simple black dress. Yep. The one Griffin once said made me look like a Target customer service rep. Thanks for the insult, babe. You basically picked my outfit for today. Wesley's mission? To casually show up at the birthday party to drop off urgent documents. Was the plan dramatic and straight out of a Netflix original? Absolutely. But we ran it like a Series C startup on the brink of going public. 6:45 p.m. I arrived at Griffin's house, or technically his parents' house, where the party was in full swing. Warm lighting, fresh flowers, not as stunning as mine, obviously, and the smell of grilled meat so good I almost forgot I had a mission. I walked in. Sharon hugged me like the $300 dinner never happened. Chelsea, Griffin's sister, squinted at me like I was suspiciously overdressed for someone recently ghosted. And Grandma Ruby? She hit me with a direct hit right out the gate. So, have you gotten any better at cooking yet, dear? Early damage. I was just setting down my purse when Griffin appeared from the living room, wine glass in hand, still mid-laugh from some story. But the second he saw me, his face went pale like someone hit pause on his bloodstream. He rushed over, whispering, "Sabrina, you actually came? We need to talk, in private." I tilted my head and practically sang out, "Oh, why wouldn't I come? Especially with such exciting news to share with the whole family." The room went silent. All heads turned. Sharon clapped her hands and squealed, "Oh my goodness, what a surprise!" And suddenly, every pair of eyes was locked on me, like I was about to pull a diamond ring out of my purse. Griffin looked at me like, "Bro, what are you doing?" And I just sipped my water with the smile of a woman who knew way too much. Right as the room began buzzing with questions and hopeful glances, Wesley appeared. Timed so perfectly it felt like the gods of drama themselves had RSVP'd. Button-up shirt, slicked-back hair, folder in hand. He walked in and said, "Sorry to interrupt, just dropping off some urgent paperwork for Griffin for Monday. Didn't realize I'd be crashing a big moment." Sharon, of course, wasn't about to let him slip away. "Oh, stay for a bit, sweetie. At least have a slice of birthday cake." Griffin looked like he was about to choke. I politely pulled out the empty chair next to me and said, "Sit with us, Wesley. Perfect timing. You can hear the exciting news, too." The air? Slightly electric. And just as the tension reached that perfect simmer, Griffin's dad, Uncle Frank, turned to Wesley and asked, "Oh, you work with Griffin?" Uncle Frank asked. "He's been saying he manages the whole team now, right?" Wesley raised one eyebrow, just slightly. "Well, I suppose that depends on how you look at it, sir." I turned toward them, lifted my glass like a toast, and smiled the way a fairy tale villain does right after exposing the fake prince. Depends on how you look at it? Now that's a fascinating phrase, isn't it? And just like that, the family edition of Expose Fest officially kicked off. The air thickened, and the birthday boy started sweating, despite the AC running at full blast. The air around the dinner table was tighter than a violin string. Every question about the big project Griffin is leading was like a gentle slice through the heavily filtered fantasy he'd been curating for 2 years. And then, the unmasking began. Frank, Griffin's dad, turned to Wesley, who looked exactly like someone realizing they'd walked into the wrong meeting room but was too polite to leave. "So, that international project Griffin said he's heading, how's that going?" Wesley, with the calm of a man who's scrolled past 1,000 unnecessary emails, set down his glass, adjusted his seat, and answered gently. Well, technically, our boss was the one who presented that project. Griffin was in charge of, advancing the slides. I nearly choked, but managed to keep my face as serene as someone watching the weather report. Griffin's face wasn't just red anymore. It had gone full uncooked cheesecake. He stammered. I was just optimizing the content flow, structuring the logic, support role stuff. I looked up at him, eyes all wide and sweet, like, oh, really? Then, very calmly, I began to tell my side of the story. Oh, and while we're sharing exciting news, I said sweetly, I have one more fun little story. That night, Griffin invited me to dinner with 2 of his co-workers. From the moment I walked in, I got roasted for my outfit, mocked for running a flower shop, and joked about my food order. Then, I got dumped, right there at the table, in front of everyone. Oh, and I also got the honor of covering the $300 bill, because apparently, I ordered the most. Silence. Absolute, dead silence. Chelsea froze mid-slice of cake. Grandma Ruby whispered, "Good heavens." And Sharon? Eyes wide like she just found out her son was behind the NASA data breach. I turned to Griffin, who looked like he was trying to swallow a whole golf ball, then calmly glanced at Wesley and said, "Oh, and isn't that right, Wesley? Didn't I still have a few screenshots from the group chat?" Wesley nodded, pulled out his phone like a professional witness being sworn in by the court, and read aloud messages from the company group chat. Griffin bragging about his victory at the restaurant, calling me the clingy girl who keeps dreaming about a fairy tale wedding, and joking that maybe that'll teach her a lesson about value. Frank, who'd been quiet the entire time like he was waiting to see if the roof would collapse, finally set down his fork and knife. Slowly, he said, "I used to think my son just liked to exaggerate, but this time, Griffin, I'm genuinely disappointed." Sharon, his mom, started crying. Not a cute single-tear Hallmark sob. This was real. The kind of cry from a mother realizing her son had been starring in a self-produced, self-deluded stage play this whole time. And she never even saw the trailer. Griffin, flailing now like he was auditioning for low-budget soap opera, the series, shouted, "You're all blowing this out of proportion. Sabrina's twisting everything. Wesley's a traitor. Who's next? Mom? Dad? My sister? Grandma too?" I stood up and gave a soft smile, the kind you only see in movies, right when the female lead finally gets her moment. I looked Griffin dead in the eye and said, "I don't need to be grateful I dated you. I'm just lucky I got out in time." Across the table, the birthday cake remained untouched. And honestly, that line might have been the sweetest thing in the whole room. I don't know if Griffin ever got to eat his birthday cake that night, but after our little group therapy session featuring dessert, he officially entered full-blown crisis mode. And me? I switched to answering texts with a block button. 2 days later, I got tagged on Instagram in a moody black and white story with the caption, "Don't believe everything you hear. Some people wear black dresses and play innocent." Yes, with the clown emoji, because of course. Then, because his energy was giving 2009 Tumblr revenge era, he somehow dug up an ancient photo of me passed out on a couch, mouth slightly open, clearly taken without my consent. Posted it on Facebook with the caption, "Miss Perfect sure doesn't snore like an angel." So thank you, Griffin. You just gave me the perfect excuse to change every profile picture I've ever had. And block you across the entire internet. The peak of it all? Saturday night, 2 a.m., I heard pounding on the lobby door followed by a chaotic chorus of, "Sabrina, open up! I just need 5 minutes." I called security. Griffin got escorted out of the building under the deadpan glare of Miguel, the security guard, who later texted me, "Want me to install an electric fence or something?" Honestly, I think Miguel deserves flowers and a damn medal. After the dawn door-pounding incident, Griffin officially lost it all. His friends? No one even replied to his texts anymore. Wesley quit the old job and moved on to a company that actually exists on LinkedIn. And Griffin? He got fired. Official reason: unprofessional conduct affecting the work environment. He lost his precious PowerPoint slide-clicking privileges. Griffin moved in with his uncle in Oregon, and rumor has it he's currently taking time off to realign his career goals, which in human language means unemployed. As for me, I started reclaiming my apartment. The couch where I once cried into a pint of ice cream got some fresh new pillows. I changed my Netflix password because someone was still using my account to binge Drive to Survive, and I officially reopened my online flower shop with a brand new slogan: "For the ones who made you cry, send flowers." And the invoice. Jade said I was savage. I called it brand positioning. A week later, I got a message from Wesley. Hey, I'm back in town. Coffee? I replied, I'm more of an iced matcha girl these days, but sure, let's talk. And I don't know what's going to bloom next. But this time, at least I know, I'm not dating a filter anymore. I used to think the biggest shock in life was grabbing a rose without checking for thorns. Turns out, the real shock was realizing I fell in love with someone who lived behind a filter, and not even a flattering one. But you know what? Not everyone chooses to quietly tiptoe away from a toxic relationship. Me, I chose to stand up, wipe off the smudged mascara, and start over. This time with no Griffin, no $300 dinner bill, and absolutely zero delusional PowerPoint presentations. The lesson? Sometimes the person who hurts you the most ends up being the reason you fall in love with yourself all over again. Louder, bolder, and with better Wi-Fi. Now it's your turn. Have you ever been through a breakup that was salty AF, but seriously lacking in respect? Did anyone ever steal your Netflix password on their way out? Tell me in the comments. I promise I won't tell Griffin. And hey, if this story hit just the right amount of bitter and bold, hit that subscribe button. Next time, I've got a twist for you that's messier than spaghetti on a first date.